I don't think it's hit play. I think it's hit record.
Hit play.
Got him.
That'll date me, huh?
Gotcha.
I feel like hit play is a universal that's still understood.
Yeah.
No, it's like when you're reviewing something, you're going to hit play. You want to
Hit play.
hit play to watch something you've already recorded or been recorded.
Do you remember like hitting play on like a cassette, like a Walkman? Did you ever have a Walkman, Brady?
Mm-hmm.
You did? A Discman? Did you ever have one
I
of
had
those?
one of the ones with cassette tapes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Did
Like,
you ever have a mini disc player?
Yes.
Like those were all the rage because
were-
those ones you could rip. You could like rip from a CD to a mini disc
Yes.
player, and then they were like a little bit protected, so you just have stacks and stacks of mini discs.
Brady and I's age group we're in a very interesting time because we're
everything.
old enough. We are old enough to remember like the old technology. It's just the speed of which we got the new technology was much different than like you know your
Mini
age
discs
class.
hit in like 1998 for me, 99.
Yeah.
I got a mini disc player,
Yeah.
which was like the little
little-
compact,
The little
you know?
tiny ones.
Yeah, and it
Those are
didn't
really
skip nearly as bad as
So
like a CD player, like
I remember
a Discman.
when I was in middle school, I would run to school in the morning and afternoon thinking I was an athlete of some kind. So I remember when Sony came out with the impact skip thing, they called it like SD
Anti-skip.
Yeah, they called they had like a acronym for it. Dude, when that came out and I could run to school, it was only it was only a half mile away, and all downhill. So
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
remember
how hard I was
walking
working.
around with a Discman, so a CD Discman.
Yeah, and it would
you'd
skip.
have to like hold
Hold it like this, yeah.
hold it in
But then
your
when they
hand.
came out
Like
with
a
the
blade.
anti-skip,
Yeah,
and you could actually run.
Big deal.
It was a big deal.
And then your CDs would get scratched.
Oh, it's brutal. Dude, I remember burning CDs in high
for
school.
sure. You go to Walmart and you'd buy like the
Yeah, the
blank
stack.
of
Yeah.
blank CDs. You'd write on it
And buy a burner.
make mixtapes.
I still have a bunch of them. I actually was looking through it the other day when I have a little hat area right when I walk in my closet, and there's a bunch of like just CDs and like old like those leather cases you put all your CDs in. All of them are like burned CDs
Yeah.
and all
Oh,
have
yeah.
labels on it and everything, and like
Making burn CDs for the girlfriend and all that shit.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
all that stuff.
I had some like these are like road trip CDs. Like
absolutely.
Driving to Huns.
My parents were phenomenally good parents and like very protective in all the right ways, like not the wrong ways. I'm very fortunate for the parents I had. However, when I got my vehicle, I don't know how this was a possibility. So they got me a car for my 16th birthday, and my uncles put a sound system in it. They put 412s.
Oh yeah, that was all. Did you remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, that
bro,
was a-
they
that was
When
a
you
rage.
turned 16, if you were lucky enough to have a card, the next step was to put
a system,
in it.
Well, my uncles, again, thankfully, fortunately, whatever you want to call it, my not only did I get a car, I got a Tahoe Z71, but my uncles put 412s in the back, and they put like the acrylic casing over
Oh,
it, so
yeah.
it was
Yeah,
all
that was the
see-through.
thing.
It was all like LED lighted and see-through.
Dude, there were businesses all over the place. That's all they did was
Do you
put
think
in
I heard
systems.
any siren driving
No,
down
no
the
way.
road or anybody honking? Nothing. I heard nothing, and my ears are probably blown out from that more so than guns. But the leather CD case, dude. I
Oh,
was
yeah, the
stacked
that's
on
right.
the leather
Yeah.
CD case.
Yeah, the visor one that went on your visor, you just
100%.
slide them in.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
now you probably look at those people who drive around with those like systems. You're like, that is such an idiot.
What a dumbass. That's what honestly, that's what I think. You hear their trunk rattling, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, that was so
That was a thing.
2000.
What about like floppy disks back in the day? Remember those?
Yeah,
I
for
remember
sure.
those.
Yeah.
Playing Oregon Trail.
I was never lucky enough to have a system in my car, but I had two buddies, Jeremy and Mike, and Jeremy had a single cab Chevy lowrider
That's awesome.
with a system in it, and then Mike had it was like a little Honda hatchback lowride. Yeah, he had a
again.
system built into that thing.
I had a GMC Sierra. That was my first truck.
Was it a lowrider?
No.
Should
It was,
slammed
it,
it.
was a, it was a single cab.
Do you have spinners on it?
No.
Clapped out,
Dang.
slammed?
No. I
Clapped
had one of those
out.
little, what do you call them, little visor thing behind the cab, like a little thing. I don't know what it was, but
What is it?
I don't know. It was like some weird little, I don't know, not like a spoiler thing, but
Like
like,
a vice gal?
some
Like
little
a
flare thing that came off behind the cab.
Yeah, like a vice gal.
Yeah. And then, but I had a 6 CD changer in there.
Oh yeah.
Like I didn't have a system,
best.
but I literally, one of my dad's friends gave me this, and it was like a little box that you could put 6 CDs in at a time, and it would change through it. And I thought that
Yeah,
was
for
like
sure.
the coolest thing ever, that I could put 6 CDs and listen
at the
to
same time.
50 some songs.
Yeah.
And that was pretty badass.
Do you have your windows tinted?
Like full black. I don't know. Like I said, my parents were so in all the right ways protective to not let me be too much of an idiot. Because, 16-year-old boy, we're all dumbasses, right? But like, I don't know how it fell through the cracks. Tahoe Z71, like limo tent, 412s. Like I didn't hear anything. I had the music on full blast everywhere I went. I had the Kenwood. You remember the Kenwood? You'd press the on button and it'd like come out and then it'd flip up the LED screen.
Speaking of tint, have you guys ever been in Porter's truck?
Horrible.
His tint is so dark on his like side windows, like where like his driver's side and his passenger. When I had to drive his truck to go on his hunt, on the archery hunt,
You can't see anything.
I had to roll down the windows
Yeah.
to turn everywhere I went because I couldn't see traffic coming. I'm like, Porter, your tint is way too dark.
Ryan
Even though it's like the legal tint, it's like that should not be legal.
Yeah, Ryan Gentry was the same way when we were hunting oryx. And he's pulling trailers and stuff, you know. And I'm like, dude, why do you have these windows so tinted? Do you pull trailers with this? Like this is like you can't do this.
And if you're gonna go on a hunt like you did last year on your like late archery hunt, like you're like kind of hunting from a truck, you can't use a truck like that because you can't glass out of it without rolling it down. It's freezing cold.
100%.
Like I'm like, Porter, you gotta change it.
But it's cool.
It's cool.
It does
though.
look cool.
It does.
It was
It
cool
does
back
look
in the
cool.
day.
Lorenzo still rides with his seat back.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been in your truck before. It's laid way back.
Yeah. Omar was making fun of me too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was with you
West
the other
Coast
day.
driver.
I was like, man, your seat's mine's like almost vertical now.
Mine is
Like,
Can't do
vertical.
that. I'm laid back, man. I'm
like
West Coast.
I like good posture when I'm driving.
I do not.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
like legs straight, all the way laid back, arms straight.
Yeah, that's funny. Brady, what do you got there? You got a sign in front of you.
Yes.
We brought that back from Colorado.
If you don't know, vote no on Proposition 127 in Colorado.
We were going to hang that in the studio.
Yeah,
We should hang that.
At least until we get the vote on the 5th.
And, you know, let's hope all the powers that be this doesn't pass. But we should still leave it up just
Sure.
as a reminder.
Yeah.
Like this is the shit that people are coming after,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We want to talk about the rally we went to. Brady and I went out to the rally in
Yep,
Colorado.
Went to
Flew
the
to Denver.
Capitol.
Really
Spent a day.
I'm sad I couldn't have made that.
It was good. It was a really good event, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect for a rally, but we can run through it and kind of talk about it and thoughts and feelings. And let's hit promo first.
Promo.
Brady, you want to do promo for us this week?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You do. Definitely.
Definitely do. Because this is the time, again, like, we just had a meeting the other day. We did a little teaser on our off-season episode. We got some new things coming
Yes, we
to
do.
Insider. So, great time to sign up. And if you sign up for Insider, use promo code PODCAST. You'll get 50 points back in the Go and Gear Shop, which is $50 you can spend on anything in the gear store. So, Insider membership right now is very valuable. We were constantly talking about next year already.
Yeah, the whole way down today, I was all I could think about because we're going to get into it. We're going to talk a little bit. I killed a buck this weekend, took my kid out on a hunt. So I filled that tag. So that was my second year on my dedicated hunter. So next year in Utah, I won't have a deer tag. And as I'm driving down today, I'm running through just mentally checking off points in different states and what I've got. I've got a pile of points in Wyoming for deer. I've got a pile of points in Arizona for deer. I'm just like thinking Colorado. Had a guy hit me up. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about archery deer hunting in Colorado? You ever done it? You got any tips or tricks?" And I'm thinking about I got some points in Colorado. Maybe I do an archery deer hunt in Colorado next year.
Same boat for me.
And even if you're listening and you're not an insider and you're expecting to go on some of these like over-the-counter hunts here coming up, like second, third rifle, Colorado, for example, like you can still utilize Insider to help narrow down
In
exactly
a
where
huge
you want to
way.
go.
I actually think it's more, I don't know, call me crazy. I think there's more value in that almost.
Yeah, because
you have so many options.
People think of it as a research tool to use before you like draw tags, but it's actually really, really important to utilize it after you get a tag in your pocket. Especially if it's a tag that allows you to hunt multiple units or
choosing spots.
choosing an
It's
exact
so good
unit
for
by
that.
utilizing the data, read the unit profiles, read the comments down below in the unit profiles, check out all that data, even jumping over to like all those app strategies, because we do talk about over-the-counter stuff a lot of times in those too. So like there's so much value for you.
Yeah, you get Go Hunt Maps with your membership, which is,
Yep.
I mean, that including all the draw odds and the filtering and all the research you can do on the main portion of the site that you're probably used to. You get maps, which, like this last weekend hunting with my kid, paramount.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, wouldn't have happened. I
Without-
was thinking of it. So yeah, I'm like, we'll get into it, but just an absolute suck fest as far as the pack out goes. And
Awesome for an 11-year-old.
I have a video of him walking out in front of me. I don't know. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but I have this video of him. So he's got He's got a walking stick. That's it. Just a walking stick, no pack, nothing. And he is just bebopping down the trail. And I'm like filming him walking ahead of me. He's singing to himself. I've got like 110 pounds on my back.
Perfect.
He keeps looking back at me. He's like, hey, you doing okay? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, man, we're making good time. I feel good about this. I was like, yeah. He's like, you sure you don't want me to walk behind you? I was like, no, just out front's good. Just set the pace for me if you would. You know, I was like, otherwise I'm just going to sit down and take a break. I'm like, you're going to keep me walking. But he's singing, he's whistling, he's just bebopping. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, maps was everything for me. I mean, it really did make a huge difference.
Or like for us, Scott Butler's retirement, we are taking him on a hunt. That's like, you know, part of our gift to him as retirement. We got him a bow, and he's never killed an elk, always wanted to. So we're doing the over-the-counter Colorado elk.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I have been on Filtering 2.0 more for this than I have in my application season. Maybe because I've been doing applications for so long and I have so many points, I kind of like, it's just quick little reference checks more so than anything else. But right now, like choosing units of where to go on the OTC, like, man, we have been grinding this thing.
Yeah.
Bouncing units off each other, comparing the whole deal.
It's not a bad time to sign up for membership.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, broken record, shameless plug, call it what you want, but like legitimately the value is unbelievable.
I agree.
It really is. It'd be the best $150, I guess, that you spend ever.
Totally agree.
Yep.
We haven't really talked about it too much. I think we did earlier, but like we do have new states.
Yeah.
We have Iowa, we have Nebraska, we added recently. So like
we got more coming.
Yeah. So
I had a guy hit me up just the other day and he's like, hey, come to Nebraska and hunt whitetail. And
yes, please.
Yeah. I was like, maybe. And he was giving me some ideas as far as like season dates and stuff. And he was kind of giving me the ins and outs of like, you know, maybe come think about this or think about that. And I thought, shit, I can jump into my account and
figure this
cruise.
out.
Yeah, figure this out. Start to look at Nebraska. So, yeah, sign up. Use the promo code podcast.
Even though they just got their ass kicked by Indiana, but
man, how about Indiana? Huh?
Story for another day. I love it.
I mean, my mom and dad are Hoosiers, so I got to root for Indiana. Normally, it's basketball,
bro.
But
The Kurt Signetti hire, the coach, like, and not even a year. Like this is his first year, right? So like everyone talks about in your first year, it hasn't been a year though. Like it's not truly his first year. It's like his first months, and he's got that program just cranking right now.
Yeah,
it's
and
awesome.
then do you ever meet? So shout out Jake from Mountain Ops.
Yeah,
played football for Indiana. It's funny how you meet somebody and it just sticks with you.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him at Cam's event, the lift run shoot. The dude's, jacked. Just
Greek god. Just absolutely jacked.
Just an absolute jacked.
Just
I think I've pulled up his Instagram account and showed my oldest, who's 19, and I'm like, this is, if you want to strut, this is the guy.
This is it.
You should
right
strive
here.
for, not me. Look like that. But yeah, I mean, you meet somebody and you're like, oh, that guy's super cool. He played football for Indiana, so now I kind of root for Indiana.
I love it though. Just shows culture. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Culture from the top, like how impactful good culture is.
Yeah,
the guy
absolutely.
came in 7-0, just absolutely smashed Nebraska.
and to a school that's always been so-so as far as football goes.
Like beyond so-so.
Yeah.
Beyond
so-so. That was being kind.
Yeah. It's so good. What he did at JMU and now to Indiana, it's incredible. I love watching that kind of stuff. It shows the power of culture. I love that.
Culture and coaching.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Brady, do you want to let's talk about the rally that we went to and kind of run through where we're at?
I was going to ask. I haven't had time to catch up with either of you, so this is actually good to kind of do it live.
Yeah,
how many people showed up?
350 maybe, somewhere in the neighborhood.
Day?
Yeah, on a work day, Friday morning.
That's good.
Yeah, 11 to 2.
11 to 2,
I guess.
we were there, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a chance to talk. We didn't. I think I got back Friday. I think I drove home. I got home about 3:30 Friday morning or Friday. I guess it'd be Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, you got back, yeah.
Yeah, cool trip. I'm glad that we went.
I've seen a lot of people reaching out to us in support that we were there. Was there anyone else there or just individuals? Anyone else as far as brands or just individuals?
They were like one-off sporting good type companies. There's some
based out of Denver.
Yeah, a lot of them out of Colorado. I don't know that I saw anybody else that I would.
Any brands that
brands that would jump out at me that I could remember. There probably
That's
was.
Frustrating.
Yeah. But I'm glad that we went. This is like one of those things that just personally for me, it felt like it was really interesting, and I'll get into it. But Houndsman in general, I've never been a houndsman. I've only hunted mountain lion one time ever. I had a good friend who passed away, Clint Meekum, who I had a ton of respect for. He did a lot of mountain lion research for Utah State and also for the Division of Wildlife. And like, to me, the guy just like was on a pedestal. He was like old school cowboy, right? Lion hunter, houndsman, comes from a family of houndsmen. And I just had a ton of respect for that guy and what he did. He was so passionate about it. So for me personally, as well as just like the hunting rights in general, that whole, thing, like houndsmen in particular, I just have like this affinity, affection for them. I just think they're incredible people, just good people.
I agree. Wade Hollerman out of Utah, just
exactly.
a phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And what his dogs and what they do, it's awesome.
Yeah. So it was incredible. It's kind of sitting on my mind, and then go deer hunting, and I make the pack out, and I run right into Clint's brother McLean and his son Hunter, and I'll just throw it in now. But I run into Hunter. Hunter's got the guide, so Meekum Outfitters, Southern Utah, if you're looking for a guide. But I run into Hunter. And I've known Hunter a little bit. I don't know him super well, but I run right into him, and I was like, he goes, "Hey, Trail, how's it going?" I got a deer on my back, and I just made a joke. I said, "Man, I wish I'd run into you 3 hours ago," And he immediately, it was just a joke, And I know him, but he's like, "Man, how much of that deer do you have in your pack?" And I was like, "I got about half." I was like, "I'll have to make another trip," and he's like, "Where's it at?" And I'm trying to tell him this is a point where it'd be great if everybody had Go Hunt maps, because I could have, wirelessly give it to him, But that guy was just like, "Hey, well, I'll go look for it tonight." And he's like, "If I'll try to find it, and if I can't find it," he's like, "My dad, I'll send him up in there in the morning, and we'll try to find it. And if we find it, we'll get it out." And he goes, "Before you come in tomorrow to get the rest of that," he said, "stop by our camp." And he's like, "If we're not there, just grab a mule, just do whatever you need to do, go up in there and get it, take care of it."
That's pretty cool.
Just
That's awesome.
No questions asked, just legitimately so nice. Yeah, and those guys have always been that way, and almost every houndsman I've ever run into has been that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a bear tag on the Boulder a number of years ago. I was trying to bait and having lackluster, luck at it, if you will. Ran into a houndsman, and he was just like, "Yeah, let's go." And I was just like, "Well, what do you want for it?" "Nothing. Let's just go. Let's go chase. Let's go chase bears."
That's awesome.
And he even was just like, "Come camp with us." Had his wife and I think 3 or 4 girls, and just completely went out of their way to be so kind. But
I don't know if it's the compassion of them because they're dealing with dogs that they love. And I don't know if it does make him a different,
I just like
nicer person. I don't know.
I like the people. They're just, I mean, the term salt of the earth, I guess. I don't know what exactly it means, but I would say, they're just genuine salt of the earth people, just hardworking.
Yeah.
Hunt 5-6 days a week, No
one's harder on gear than houndsmen.
Oh man.
On vehicles, on gear. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I guess on that front, to me personally, I wanted to go to this. I just wanted to show up. I wanted to show up for the cause. I wanted to show up for.
Yeah, we got to support things you believe in.
Yeah, even though
I'll
never
support other hunters and support other hunting types, and we were just about to say, you probably never might.
I'll never have dogs.
Yeah, you might not hunt a mountain lion again, but you're still going to support the hunting of mountain lions that other people want to. It's their livelihood. It's their passion. It's what they enjoy to do.
I just wanted to support their lifestyle.
Yeah, that's truly what it is as a houndsman.
That's all that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is if you want to meet somebody that has a lifestyle, it's a houndsman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those guys pour their heart and soul into their dogs and their craft. And the other thing about those guys is I don't know anybody that's more clued into the landscape than a houndsman.
Than those, yeah.
They're
I would
just
agree.
out there a lot.
Mm-hmm. And just following dogs.
Who
knows where they end up.
Yeah, and it's not just lions or bobcats, it's everything. I mean, deer, elk, those guys know the landscape. I started talking to Hunter, and I was like, I saw a buck here and I saw a buck there, and we're I'm like, the head of this canyon and that canyon, and he was like, "Hey, have you looked here? Have you looked there?" Those guys know. Man, I don't think there's an inch of most of those units that those guys haven't touched. Mm-hmm. Which is just an incredible knowledge base. So I guess personally for me, even though I'll never own hounds, I don't have an interest in, running lions myself. I just wanted to show up and support their lifestyle and try to be a proponent for, that way of life. Cause I think it's worth protecting.
It is 100%.
Yeah. I want those guys to have that right to do that.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Yep.
And didn't you say too when you were talking to them that they said thanks for you going there?
Yeah.
Like they saw that we were there, and
Yeah, you sent us a note on Slack.
Yeah.
But when you ran into them, they already just said thanks for being there.
Yeah, and every I've had a lot of people say, which, like I didn't go to, like, I'm not going for any means, like I'm not trying to.
Oh, you're not an influencer?
I'm not
No
trying
way,
to.
Trail.
I'm not trying to be super altruistic, to be honest. I genuinely really want to help if I can to protect a way of life, a lifestyle that I respect.
The guy who's posted like 7 times on Instagram. You're not an influencer. I would have never.
I did
guessed.
repost it. Brady put a post.
Oh, here we go,
I
Trail.
said, hey,
I said, hey, I'm gonna collab with you, Trail, and he's like, I will actually accept.
I'll
this
accept
one.
it. I'll accept it.
Look at you.
I'll
Yeah.
accept.
Just
I'll
growing
accept
into it.
this collab.
Yeah, like you're saying, like no matter what it was, I'm glad we were there to support it because I like to support hunters and everything that they believe in. It's like, even though we're non-resident and we have no say and we can't vote for it, it's good just to bring awareness to it. Put all this stuff out there on the internet to let people know, like, this is a big deal. It really is, and it's something that everyone needs to know about. Whether you're in Colorado or Alabama or Florida, like, you should all know what's going on and how these people are coming after hunting. Yeah. It's not about like they're trying to protect mountain lions or they're concerned about wildlife in the state. It's an anti-hunting bill. They just don't like hunters.
Yeah. The thing that kind of, talking to people there in Denver, it's not that much different than where I live, to be honest, in Utah. And if you can extrapolate that out across any state that that you touch or you live in, if you look at Arizona, Phoenix, right? The people of Phoenix, the voters, that's where the population base is. It's the same thing in Utah. You have the Wasatch Front, which that's where that's the bulk
power
of the population.
Yeah.
That's the power in the state of Utah. So in that regard, Denver, Colorado, it's not any different than where I live. And, who's to say the next year or year after it doesn't come to my home state and we try to take the same path,
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think it sets the precedence that you show up and, you try to use your voice, whatever voice that you got, to try to support the things that you value and believe in.
Yeah. And just to that point, though, it's supporting hunting as a whole as well. Like there's a couple other people out there that are trying to, whether it's, you want to call it bring awareness or just kind of make people self-aware about, hunters attacking other hunters. Like when it comes down to hunting, no one should have any say on what somebody else's decides to do. If it's private land and that's all they do and they're killing big shit and you're jealous and you say, oh, that's real ethical going to shoot a cattle bull or, a cattle bull elk or whatever. Like that's just what that guy chooses to do. Why are you hating on it? Or a high fence guy? Who cares? Like just because you don't want to do it, who cares? That guy's legally and rightfully doing what he wants to do. If it's houndsman, if it's a guy taking a shot that you wouldn't have took, who cares? Like instead of, because they all use it against us, right? It's like if an anti is watching an archery film and there's tons of comments on the archery film of like, oh, that's so immoral, killing that with a bow. Well, what do you think? They take that to legislature and they say, yeah, look, even the hunters agree that it's immoral to hunt these things with a bow.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like,
fuel for the fire.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are people doing?
Like if somebody is rightfully and legally doing what they want to do, why do you have any say in it other than congratulations, nice job? Like, hope it was an awesome adventure. Yeah,
I mean, I think the hope is that everybody will do the best they can. Maybe it comes with age, but it's just been kind of a bit of a gut check for me because I've been that guy. Been like, oh, that guy hunts that ranch or that ranch every single year. But reality is, like, as long as it's legal,
who has any say if it's legal?
And it's their value, and they're following the law, and it's within kind of the ethics of hunting. Fair chase. Yeah, go for it.
Support
All you
everything.
want.
Support it. Yeah, I agree.
Gator hunting, whatever it is. Like, why does anybody have anything to say about that if you're a hunter? You should be nothing but supportive of all hunting types if you are a hunter. Doesn't mean you have to do it or you should want to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, why are you giving anybody else ammo being a hunter that is, in your quotes, immoral or unethical or dumb or whatever it is?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it today. There's lots of things I think are dumb. Like
But it is what it is.
I mean, when I was in Colorado hunting elk, they just punched in a new trail, Forest Service did, and it's open to motorized access. So not ATVs, but you could take like motorcycles. And for me, I'm like, that's not my value. I don't like motorcycles. I felt like, it kind of sucks that guy can get up in there. But again, like, I'm not trying to shut down that trail to motorized access because, the Forest Service has gone through the planning process and, they've heard from the public and decided that, hey, this is an area that we want to have a motorized access, trail into. It's just like, that guy, he likes to ride his motorbike or mountain bikes. There was tons of mountain bikers going up there. It's like, that's.
Well, what if that guy's second love in life is motorcycles? And now he can do his first love, which is hunting, and his second love at the same time, a backcountry. I would.
Sure.
Again, I don't like motorcycles. I've never ridden one. I don't want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I probably would. But like, man, if I could put the two things I love most together, why would I not do it?
Yeah.
Everybody
has things that they value,
Yeah.
So as long as it's legal and people kind of decided, hey, this is something we want to do and pursue, then
yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, I just fully feel though that hunters should support other hunters.
I agree.
It's such bullshit watching people.
There was, and it's kind of sad to say, but there was a lot of comments that I've been seeing on our reels and the photos I posted, CRWM's, Colorado Wildlife Deserves Better page. That like people are like, well, the wolf thing passed, and so this is automatically going to pass as well. And it's like, we don't even, like, why are we even trying to fight this? It's going to pass because look at the voters in Colorado, look at the people in Colorado, it's going to pass. And so they're already defeated and putting out a message like, we shouldn't even be wasting time on this. It's going to pass anyway. And it's like, that's not the mentality you should have. Like, you can educate people, you can talk through this. And maybe you're saying that too. I saw some on YouTube comments that were like, well, I don't have lines, so it doesn't matter to me. And there's even a bunch of comments too that people are like, how do I get registered to vote? Mm-hmm. It's like, there's still people out there that don't understand the importance of voting, going to vote, and putting an effort out there to learn about this and then figure out, if you're going to.
Yeah.
Like even how to vote.
It's to not have a spine and not have a fight in you. Who cares if you're outmanned? Like, you still got to fight. Mm-hmm. Like, you still got to have that mentality to always fight for what you believe in, right?
Well, the thing about the wolf reintroduction and that whole vote, I don't feel like there was I think we all just thought that'll never pass. I think we sat on our hands a little bit, to be honest.
100% that was the case.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wasn't clued in. I was kind of like, let's vote to reintroduce wolves and it'll never pass. And it was a close vote. Right?
I can't remember.
51-49 or something like that?
51-49, and I can't remember the amount of hunting license holders who didn't vote. I know it is
there's a stat on that if they all voted, we would have won by a landslide.
Yes, but there is a data point floating around of how many that year hunting license holders, so active hunters, who did not show up to vote, and it's like a staggering number. They could have easily won that vote if those guys showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like there was nearly the rally cry that there has been, and I think it's in response to that legislation and that bill that passed. I think people never thought it really would, and then it did, and we all kind of went, wait, this happened. This is happening.
Yeah.
And it's really happening. So I think it's been really good, actually. I felt like since we got home Friday, I felt like from Friday until today, which is Wednesday, I've seen more people talking about it, more people posting about it. I've seen more interested parties, way more than I did a week ago.
Yeah. There's a lot of conversation,
a lot of conversation,
dialogue.
which is good.
Yeah.
It's good. It felt like it became more real to us, and I hope it shows up on people's votes in the long run.
I hope so too.
It was just interesting too when we got to actually see the language of what is on their thing when they're going to vote. It's actually very, very confusing too.
We had dinner with Neville the night before, and he had the actual
ticket or the ballot or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, here, read this. And he slides across the table. I read down through it. I probably read it 3 or 4 times. And I was just like, I don't even know people with a law degree that would understand what they're asking here.
That's on purpose, which is so frustrating.
Really frustrating. It should be so plainly stated.
Yes, on state legislature, part of the strategy is that to get people to unknowingly vote, whatever your bias is from the top of whoever introduced this prop or whatever, that part of the strategy is let's word this in a way that will get a lot of confused votes to our side.
It was super confusing.
Yeah. So the very simple format is what CRWM
vote
is
no.
doing. Just vote no.
Yeah.
Like that is coming from the place you need to hear it. Just vote no.
Yeah. I've been doing some reading since I got home, and I think this is interesting to look at. So there was an article came out in the Summit Daily, which is Colorado paper news source. They went down through, and I thought it was interesting. So the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Employee Protective Association, which the Colorado Parks and Wildlife can't really take a stance one way or the other, whatever the vote is. But I thought it was interesting. So the Employee Association came out, which is the first time, I think they said, in 77 years that they've actually issued a...
Wow. 77 years. Wow.
Yeah. So they basically said, we're not in favor of it, which I thought was telling. But I read down through the article. It's really interesting. So they cite kind of both sides of the, proponents and then opponents against it. I thought it was pretty interesting. I wanted to read this. Let me see if I can find it. So it says, in its campaign, Cats Aren't Trophies, who's a proponent of this bill, argues that science and research show that natural forces, prey, and habitat availability are what drives healthy populations of animals, not hunting. This is a group of 22 wildlife biologists, including Jane Goodall, you probably know the name. Have you guys seen the funny memes with Carol Baskins going around with her dressed up like a tiger?
It's hilarious.
It says, who do you want making this?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And then that sparked that whole, I don't know, I might get sued, I guess, if I'm for slander, but the whole song about her, have you heard the parody song? I played it for Brady the other day.
I have not.
He did. It's definitely played
It's pretty hilarious. Yeah. If not, Google.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Carol Baskins parody song is pretty hilarious. Anyway, so this group, and also including former National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and other agency employees, support 127. The group issued a written letter. And have you guys read this letter?
No.
I pulled it up and read it today. I think it would be worthwhile in reading. This would be interesting to you. So
I would love to read it.
Okay.
Please send that to me.
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It's not too
Even
long.
better.
Do it.
It's not too long, and we could talk about it as we go. But
Even better.
I thought it'd be
Please read
interesting.
it.
Yep. So it says, to whom it may concern, as experts in biology and ecology, we write to describe scientific conclusions and consensus about issues related to mountain lion management. We hope that sharing our understanding of this science will help Colorado voters make informed choices on Prop 127, the November 2024 state ballot measure that would prohibit trophy hunting and trapping of mountain lions, bobcats, and lynx. I would like you to take notice how many times they say trophy in this. Okay. Mountain lion trophy hunting is unnecessary to manage stable mountain lion populations and serves no management purpose. Colorado Parks and Wildlife considers mountain lion hunting, trophy hunting, and a recreational opportunity. Okay. So right in that is not true.
Yeah.
Correct.
They don't consider it a recreational opportunity.
Correct.
It's hunting. It's a big game animal. Colorado, you have to check the hide, skull, and harvest the meat. Right. So, and they put that in quotations, recreational opportunity. And they quoted Colorado Parks and Wildlife, which that to me in itself, like you're not even 6 sentences in and you're like,
blatantly lying.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even the thing about the trophy hunting, what these antis like to say is like, that's already illegal to just shoot an animal and leave it there.
And walk away.
Just shoot it, shoot it. That's an illegal thing. That's what poachers do.
Yeah.
That's not what hunters do.
Yeah. It goes on to say several studies have shown mountain lions and other wild felines like bobcats are self-regulating. Wildcats evolved in Colorado's natural ecosystems and maintain stable populations based on territorialism, interspecific aggression, prey availability, low reproductive rates, juvenile survivorship, and other key biological and ecological characteristics. Killing mountain lions and bobcats recreationally decreases diversity in the broader population while disrupting and destabilizing social structures. This may lead to an increase in the risk of human mountain lion conflicts.
What?
Yep. Yeah, and distributions of wild ungulate populations. Moreover, excessive killing.
So now it's not recreational; it's excessive.
It's excessive killing. Okay, even though harvest success in the state of Colorado for mountain lions is about 19%.
Yes.
Okay, excessive killing of mountain lions in local areas may impact the larger population because male lion disperse over long distances to colonize vacant territories. trophy hunting may also exacerbate human mountain lion conflicts by removing unoffending animals from the ecosystem, leaving the door open to younger cats who are more likely to be involved in conflicts. Rather than kill, so here's the interesting thing. So they're basically saying that by trophy hunting, you have the potential to increase conflicts because younger lions will be moving out, right? So what happens when you stop hunting them altogether? Are those lions going to just like coexist within territories? They're not going to like strike out and try to...
They already said that they self-regulate based on
Exactly.
And they move
territory, and they move long distances.
It's very strange, right?
And they go colonize vacant areas.
Yeah.
So
Which you would think potentially would increase the likelihood of conflict, right?
like
yeah.
wildly increase
Right.
the likelihood of conflict.
Yep. Rather than killing mountain lions due to conflict, which can be counterproductive, policy should focus on increasing education outreach on topics such as how to safely house your livestock and pets and reduce altercations, reduce attractants. Without addressing those well-documented risk factors, communities and livestock owners are likely to see continued conflict in the same locations. If trophy hunting of mountain lions is prohibited, there is no scientific basis to expect an explosion of mountain lion populations in the state of Colorado. In fact, the opposite is most likely. It says with a prohibition of trophy hunting, mountain lions can provide maximum ecosystem services, like keeping the elk and deer herds healthy.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Okay, so to me, I read that and I'm already thinking, hey, if we eliminate lion hunting,
If we have enough predators, why do we need hunters? That's how I read that.
that's how I read that. Also, it's just a little glimpse under
Yes.
the table, right? That's how I read that as well. So it goes on to say, scientific research also shows that mountain lions are allies in the fight against chronic wasting disease. Which
They're allies.
They're allies.
Wow. I didn't know.
Yeah, they only go after CWD
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah,
Only.
and it goes on to
You
say
guys didn't know that?
which decimated the health of Colorado herds, deer herds. Peer-reviewed studies have shown that lions selectively hunt deer and elk with the disease before shown symptoms. And
Oh gosh.
Because they know for sure, right?
Yeah, they just know. Yeah.
I think they're probably just opportunistic.
Yeah. They're not going to like, oh, I'm going to pass up that animal that's right in front of me to go over there because that one has potential disease. It doesn't show it yet.
Yeah,
They don't think that way.
I mean, I don't have a PhD, but I would assume that most lions are probably
Come on.
probably just like,
That's so
hey,
laughable.
I'm hungry. There's a deer. I'm going to eat it. You
That's
know?
so laughable.
Yeah. It goes on to say, although scientists have extensively researched the interaction between mountain lion and elk and deer populations to test the hypothesis that killing more mountain lions would produce more elk and deer, no study has ever found this to be the case. Again, there's this language, excessive, more.
Yes.
Nobody's asking
For more.
for more. Nobody's asking to excessively kill and harvest mountain lions. We've had mountain lion hunting in a variety of states across the West.
Well, Colorado's on a quota system already.
Right.
You can't excessively hunt them. They're managed.
Exactly. So even the language in this is just gets so misleading. And I'm going to include, there's a statement here in the bottom of it I think is laughable. I think it's hilarious. I'll throw it in here in a sec. Anyway, it goes on to talk about habitat loss and blah, blah, blah. This is what I think is interesting. So it says, issues related to large carnivores often inspire an emotional and passionate response from the public, creating a difficult political situation for the government. This can be exacerbated because some of the science points to counterproductive conclusions. We urge you, the voter, to navigate the situation with the best available science as your North Star, and to take the lead in educating their communities about the science and the impact of mountain lion management decisions. And then they sign off on this. And if you look down through it, it's PhD, 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 PhD. I mean, there's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of college professors. There's a bunch of people that work for animal rights or wilderness activists. But to me, I thought it was really interesting that they use the language. It says, issues related to large carnivores often inspire an emotional and passionate response. That's all this is.
That's all they are doing.
From them.
Of course it is. You know what this reminds me of? Like, full stop. You know who else had a lot of PhDs? Dr. Fauci. You know what I mean? Don't question the science. Wait, are you telling me to not question the science or not question you? Like, what are you saying? Because clearly, science is questioning. That is what science is for, is to question outcomes, and it's an art form that is trying to prove a certain theory or not. That's all science is questioning. So when he's talking about don't question the science, like you're saying don't question you, first of all. And that's what they're saying right there with the best available science as your North Star. Yeah, I think the federal Fish and Game, like I think the data and science has pretty well proven that management through hunting is like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's working.
And how many times over has that been proved?
Yeah,
for how many different species?
It's working, and it continues to work. I mean, if you look at the history of all species across the board, whether they're species that are hunted or not, the North American model of wildlife conservation has worked.
It's worked
for every species.
Yeah, and works for mountain lions. I wanted to pull in one more quote here from this article. So this Dan Ash, former director of Fish and Wildlife Service and currently the president and CEO of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums in Maryland and a proponent of the measure, said, hunting is a tradition. That's in quotes. Hunting as a tradition to survive, hunters needed to draw clear ethical boundaries. Just because a population could sustain hunting does not mean that you should hunt them, he says. That's not a scientific question. That's a question of social tolerance and preference. How you guys feel about that?
That is laughable.
Like, sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it's pretty gross, huh?
Like, it's disgusting. Okay, you want to talk about social tolerance? From your side, let's talk about men in the women's bathroom. Like, what's social tolerance there? Like, social tolerance, okay. Like, what? Now you're leaving it up for no science, no proof, no, like, best practices. It's if you leave it up to social tolerance.
Oof.
It just goes.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it points to the fact that we've talked about it a bunch. It's pandering.
Yeah.
Like we've taken this natural act of hunting which is the history of mankind, hunting in general, right? We're taking that off the table and saying, this hurts your feelings. Like if you feel bad, like, okay, all meat should be raised in a factory. We should have these huge feedlots. We should take hunting off the table because it makes you feel some sort of emotional response to killing an animal. Just because somebody doesn't understand the way of life, the lifestyle, what it is to be a hunter, just because you don't understand that means that we should annihilate it.
That's so crazy.
I mean, that's what he's saying.
It's 100%. But like, if you just look at it at like the 101 form of that social tolerance, like okay, so then there's no best practice being used if it's social tolerance.
Yeah. Here's another quote. So this kind of goes along the same thing. This is another individual that's a proponent of it. It says the use of ATVs, high-powered rifles, dogs with GPS collars, and drones have all grown lion hunters' advantage over time, creating a significant imbalance and making the practice unethical, he said. ATVs...
Good luck.
People use ATVs in any type of hunting. And I just brought it up. The Forest Service is building trails.
Yeah, a road.
So that you can use a mountain bike, right? If you want to go out and recreationally ride a mountain bike or a four-wheeler or a motorcycle, that's okay, right? But if you use it in hunting,
it's bad now.
It's bad. So ATVs, those are already being used. High-powered rifles. Rifles are legal for hunting. I mean, rifles are protected under
Second Amendment.
So rifles, you can take that one off the table. Drones, already illegal.
Yep.
Beyond illegal.
You can't use a drone to hunt.
At all.
Again, they like tying emotional things to it and thinking like, oh, hunters are using all these crazy technology things like a drone to find a mountain lion.
Yeah. Dogs with GPS collars. So really, if you look at that, so ATVs, take that off the table because it's already legal. Everybody uses ATVs, whether it's recreational for hunting or not. High-powered rifles, also not really discussion. It's an emotional response. I like the word high-powered.
Yeah, high-powered. Let's define high-powered. What exactly is that?
Well, that's the funny thing is a lot of people that hunt lions, I mean, a lot of it's archery or
pretty small caliber guns.
I don't even want to say it.
They are. A majority of the time, it is pretty small caliber guns.
Small caliber, right. Yeah. Which just goes to show you like how disconnected they are from this entire thing.
Very disconnected.
Dogs with GPS collars. So that one's an interesting thing. And again, like GPS collars, I think about a GPS collar on a dog is as much the hound hunter's ability to, it's like an electronic leash, right? Know where their dog's at.
Yeah.
Find their dogs. You know what I mean?
Get them to stay within a workable range.
Right. Yep. And then hunting with dogs, again, it's just like it goes back to the lifestyle, the tradition. I have a ton of respect for them, and I think it should be craft.
It's so cool.
It's a craft.
Well, that is natural biology right there. Mm-hmm. You know, canine and feline. That is natural. Like, it's a very natural world with canine and feline.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. A significant imbalance, making the practice unethical. And I mean, if your harvest success is 19%, that's on par with your elk hunters.
Yeah.
In the state of Colorado.
So the scary thing though about like
is that the same guy who said social tolerance? That's his same
different
guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the scary thing here though is about the whole dogs with GPS collars, dogs trying to enhance the hunt, like hunters using dogs as an advantage. Okay, well, what are they going to then go after next? They're going to go after pheasant hunters who are using dogs.
Yeah.
Are they going to go after waterfowl hunters who are using dogs? It's not going to stop at just mountain lion hunters using dogs.
Of course not. I mean, there's quite a few looks under the hood here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like quite a few. Social tolerance of hunting is a great look under the hood.
Yeah. Here's another fun one I wanted to throw in with hounds, which I think is interesting. So I brought up hounds, GPS collars. So here's an interesting one within the same article. It says, hounds are also the predominant method wildlife agencies use to track and manage the species. In Oregon and Washington, where the practice is banned, hounds remain a main tool for the state wildlife agencies. In a 2022 podcast from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, Derek Broman, carnivore coordinator for the department, called hounds a quote-unquote priceless tool. While Washington voters banned hound hunting for lions and other species in 1996, the state's wildlife agency created a training program for non-lethal hound hunters in 2021. In its decision, the agency said it needed more trained hound handlers and dogs to be able to handle problem mountain lions.
Imagine that.
Isn't that crazy?
Imagine that. You need canines for felines.
It's
Imagine
like, let's take hunting, let's prohibit hunting, let's ban it. But then let's turn around and pay a state agency to develop and use hounds to hunt problem lions.
It's crazy.
It's so strange to me. This is so weird.
Well, that whole side is weird.
Isn't it weird?
It honestly is. The whole side is weird.
Yeah, I find it really bizarre. Anyway, so that was a long.
I don't feel good right now. I kind of wish you wouldn't have read all of that.
I just think it's interesting. I think it's good to kind of, to me at least anyway, I thought it was interesting kind of just to read it, kind of understand frame of mind.
I mean, and the other thing too is like the guy's essentially saying trust the science, right? Like they can regulate themselves, this, that,
Who's
whatever.
Science? What science?
Well, here's a great science point. Look at California. Like I know that's the one we point to, but it is the one that is most easily pointed to because it's completely banned in the state of California. And when they banned it, there is just as many cats being killed.
More.
There is, when you look at it, there is a little percentage point more of cats being killed now with it being banned from hunters by the state. Well, not just the state. I mean, they have like hired help. So like taxpayers, you know what I mean? The person, think about that. The person who voted to ban it, their tax dollars are now going to kill. Now they're actively taking part in killing a cat when they thought they were doing something to save them. They're killing just as many cats, and now their money is going towards it instead of allowing hunters, the ones who choose to put their money towards it, so you don't have to have your hand in it and know that you paid to go kill a cat. Like that is the science. That is the experiment. We tried the experiment, right? Like I said in the beginning, science is nothing but an experiment to try to formulate and prove an outcome.
Yeah. And I don't...
We tried it in California.
Hunting and problem lions, they're not like mutually exclusive, right? Like you're still going to have, if you maintain hunting, you're still going to have problem lions.
Of course.
Right. It's not like we're saying that there's one or the other. To me, there's this like juxtaposition of saying, I don't want any mountain lions killed, but I don't want hunters killing mountain lions, but I'm totally okay
with lions being killed.
With lions being killed.
Yeah.
It's just...
From different...
To me, it's crazy.
It comes down to hunting again.
Yeah,
they feel like there should not be people allowed to want to go kill a lion. That's what it comes down to. Is like they despise the want in us, inside of us, to go kill a lion. Not the fact that a lion's being killed. They despise the fact that we have that want inside of us that chooses to go do it.
Yeah. And again, I'll probably never own dogs. I have so much respect for the lifestyle, and I would love. I mean, my personal opinion is that I want to try to maintain that for those people.
Yeah, I think you said it best in the beginning that it's a craft.
It is craft. It's absolutely a craft.
Is a craft.
Absolutely.
That is an art form, a craft, however you want to look at it. And the best ones rise to the top, and they're amazing with their dogs. They're amazing with their ability to use topography. It is a true craft.
Yeah. Dogs are family members. All the friends I know have dogs. Like they're in their house all the time. It's like they love their dogs.
That's what I was speaking to. Why are they more so salt of the earth than anything else? Maybe it is because of the compassion of this big canine family, and they just are good people.
They're just hardworking.
And hard. I mean, that's
hardworking.
For sure. Hardworking.
Brady, what did you have from the rally? Anything that you
wanted to touch on some things that I've gotten like a ton of DMs from us being up there, and I think. Well, I'll show it right now, but there's a lot of states right now that are paying attention to this. There's a lot of other states that are not Colorado that are concerned about this. And this guy sent me a DM. I'm not going to say his name or what state he works for, but he's a biologist in the state in the Midwest. And he's like, it drives me crazy that all this stuff is going on in Colorado. He asked the director last week about this and his thoughts on what would happen if this BS moves to the state he's in. And they're starting to actually bring it up with the commission in the state that he lives in, just in case. So I don't think this has the potential to happen in every single state. This like throw in a proposition measure and it can be voted on by the public. I don't think that's actually allowed. Don't quote me on that, but I think I've heard that it's not actually a thing in every single state. You can't just put something on the ballot in terms of wildlife and it can get passed. But there's other states that are looking to protect this and prevent this stuff from happening on ballot measures, because it's not good if it goes to other states.
Like I can tell you, I also won't talk about who brought this up to me, but the same lobbying firm that lobbied for all of this in Colorado is in the state of Nevada right now, lobbying the Natural Resources Committee to start the process in Nevada of exactly what they did in Colorado. Like it is the devil's on the doorstep in Nevada. It's the same firm, same playbook. They're in the state right now lobbying Natural Resources Committee.
Yeah.
But I saw it overall, though. The event at the Capitol, very well run. The speakers, amazing.
Yeah.
From all walks of life. Can't remember exactly, their names, their affiliations or whatever, but it motivated me to try to keep pushing for hunting rights no matter what it is. No matter if I pursue that animal or not, or if it's different across state lines, it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
All these things are worth fighting for.
Yeah. And I apologize, but the gentleman from Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation I thought was really good. And we've got some clips. We'll probably put them out via social. Crystal Chick was the woman's name. She spoke. I think she was a area director for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. She's since retired. I think she did 20 years with Parks and Wildlife. She spoke. I thought she was awesome.
Phenomenal speech.
Really, really good speech. And spoke out in opposition of it. It was just it was a good event. It was cool. I didn't really know what to expect. I thought maybe we'd have some, antis. We didn't have any of that. And as far as the crowd goes, great crowd, super positive. Hound dogs. There's some red bones.
Did you see that one hound that had that little shirt on that said save my job?
Yeah, I'm glad.
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
That's awesome.
I told Brady as we were leaving, I was like, I didn't think to get a picture, and it just didn't work out. But I thought, man, I wanted to get a photo of that dog. Yeah, hound dog with a T-shirt on that said "Save my job."
That is fantastic. I love that. I love everything about that.
Pretty great. Overall, really cool event, and I'm glad I went. It's interesting to be sitting here at a table at a microphone and expressing myself so blatantly, because I'm just not typically that guy, right? Like I'm not like, big political. I'm not. I'm not politics. Super outspoken about a lot of things, but man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old enough to a stage in life when and we'll talk about it here in a sec. I took my kid hunting this weekend, and I see the passion he has for it, and we can talk about some of the things that he said that were really eye-opening for me. But yeah, I want to preserve that, and I feel like somehow I've got a little bit of a voice. Hopefully it carries, and I just want to see it remain.
I also think too is a lot of people who aren't involved in politics on a big level and aren't spokespeople for it, all that stuff. When it comes and it affects you on your doorstep of what you truly love and believe in, I mean, I would hope you would I would hope anyone would actually speak up to something like that. You know what I mean? Instead of these guys, like you're saying, Brady, the comments that, we already lost this. That is such bullshit. Yeah. Like, have a spine. Fight for it. Who cares if your back's up against the wall?
And if you don't feel like you have a big voice, you do have a big voice.
Of course. Like I thought when you reached out on social media and you said, hey, I got off the phone with 2 people in Colorado, and I told them they're not hunters. I told them to vote no. And I've seen the responses you've gotten from that of other people calling family members in Colorado. That's the type of stuff you can do to make a difference. Even
if you have a social media following of 100 people, you still have 100 people that you can talk to.
That then those 100 people can go talk to a couple people. Yeah,
it's still a voice, and you always can share your thoughts on it, educate people. Even if you live in a different state right now, you should still be sharing all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't vote on it, but you probably know someone who lives in Colorado, and it's going to word to get out, and they'll be educated on, not just going to the ballot and be like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to blindly vote. Like, you have a voice. Use it.
Yeah, this stuff sucks. It sucks to talk about, to be honest, because it just, I want to.
It's just gross.
Yeah, I mean, Friday, we were there Friday, right? I got home like 3:30 Saturday morning. Saturday morning was the opening day of the deer hunt in Utah, which I had a tag for. And, I ended up going, but I was thinking, I missed opening day of the deer hunt. I thought, man, I wish that was like all I had to worry about was opening day of the deer hunt, It just, this type of stuff, it just sucks. But I think if you don't do this if you don't do it now, you may not have the opportunity to do opening day of the deer hunt in 10 years, So, anyway, that was an hour long. I thought that would be like a 10-minute blip, but
I think
good discussion.
It's deserving of from now until the vote day.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's something, I want to make sure that we hit. So again, I mean, just keep it in the forefront of your mind, and I would highly encourage you to reach out if you know anybody in Colorado and just continue to spread the word.
Yeah. And to that point real quick, the point you were making earlier, if you are curious about hunters, gun owners who are not registered to vote, the pages Vote, the number 4 America 2024, they have some stats, hundreds of thousands of people, they kind of break it down by some states of hunters and gun owners not registered to vote. So,
what was that website?
It's an Instagram page. They do have a site, but I can only find the data on Instagram. So Vote, the number 4 America 2024.
Vote for America 2024. Okay.
So if you're not, okay. So if you're not registered to vote, that's where you go.
Well, you can actually go.
And it just gives the statistics that you're talking about. The number of people that are not registered. The stats.
You can register through them. It directs you from their site to your respective state.
Okay.
But they do post numbers as well.
There you go.
Yeah. Thanks. Just continue to hammer home the message. I hope it's not even close.
Yeah, me too.
I think in this day and age, everything is going to be close. But I hope it's not.
Yeah, but my hope is that it's not.
Oh. Yeah, it is genuinely so simple that it should not be close.
Yep.
The fact that, a soccer mom love her to death for what she's doing as being a mother, but can vote on science and biology, or can decide essentially on science and biology. That's like extremely concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I everybody should have the right to vote. Everybody should have their their ability, but hopefully they do a little research and at least understand it from both perspectives.
Yeah.
It's like anything. Nothing is black and white, right? There's some grays, and you got to understand and kind of look at both sides of it before you make your decision.
This one's pretty black and white, though.
This one's black. I mean, that's the thing, is it's like pretty black and white for me, but for a soccer mom, maybe it isn't. And but here's the thing, is like, if she's willing to actually look through the propaganda, look at both sides, consider, what it is. Look at the county commissions that have the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, the people that are in charge of wildlife in the state of Colorado, which is a tremendous success. Most elk in the history, great mule deer herd, great numbers of black bears, moose,
great whitetail herd, phenomenal whitetail herd.
Yeah. I mean, wildlife in the state of Colorado are doing great, and it's because they've stood on the pillars of, the 7 pillars of North American model of wildlife conservation. So, yeah, I mean, it is black and white. I agree, but
when you look into it, like you said, though, it is black and white.
But if you look into it,
if somebody hasn't, I guess there is some gray.
Yeah.
So hopefully those people just
don't vote on emotion.
Do what they got to do. Yeah.
And if you want to still support and you don't know how because you're non-resident, you can still go on Colorado's Wildlife Deserves Better website, and you can still donate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still 2 weeks left. They still need, all these funds are going to help with ads on TV, radios, social media stuff, everything like that. So you still can donate money to the cause right now to vote no on Proposition 127.
Yep. You guys want to hear about my deer hunt?
I would love to. I need something to lift my spirits right now. All that shit is just so slimy and gross, and it's like, just makes you not feel good.
Yeah, that wasn't my intent. I apologize for that.
No, but
it just goes to show like the tactics they use, though. It's like slimy and dirty.
That's the part. That's the part that I'm speaking to.
I thought it was enlightening.
Wording, that kind of shit.
We don't have to dive deep back down. I wanted to read that letter because I thought it was so funny that they stand on quote unquote science. They quote all these papers in it, but then all the language in it is so emotional. It's trophy driven. It's
excessive trophy, recreational.
It's so emotional. It's just like, come on now. If you're gonna actually write a real scientific explanation, then at least
leave it to science.
Pull out all the flowers, right? Anyway, funny. But
get me into your deer hunt.
Yeah, I took my kid deer hunting. So my kid's 11. My youngest, his name's Owen. And of all my kids, he is the most interested in hunting in general. He just has got the bug so bad. And he's been begging to go. And for me this year, it was my second year on my dedicated hunter. I killed a buck last year, a great buck. This year going out, I was like, man, if I fill that tag, I can't hunt next year,
Yeah,
and
that's a big decision.
Yeah, and for me, I've always wanted to, try to maximize the tag. I want to hunt. I want to find a, mature animal and kind of want to maximize it. But going out with him, he was just genuinely so excited. For me, it really put it into perspective. And I was probably into that hunt the first few minutes, and I was just like, man, legal buck. We're probably shooting it just to get him that experience because he was so excited. But yeah, I woke him up Sunday morning. I think we left the house about 3:30 in the morning, which is pretty funny to
get an 11-year-old up at 3:30.
Get an 11-year-old up at 3:30 in the morning. And then, packing, and you probably know what packing for kids is like to take them hunting. Yeah, especially this time of year because it snowed.
Oh, yeah.
It snowed the day before. It snowed all day Sunday on us. But yeah, the amount of gear for late season hunting, I was like, I remember why I'm a bow hunter now. It's like 2 pairs of down pants, down mittens, down gloves, 2 butt pads to sit on.
Yeah, you're carrying it all.
All the snacks. Everything. And like I said, he's just bebopping along with a trekking pole. But yeah, we started up. We finally hit the trailhead and started up and, took off, and he was doing great. Spirits were super high until we started up that first real steep grade. And he was like dying, which
Was he?
Oh yeah, just sucking wind and kept. I got to take a break. The other thing is funny. I wanted to ask you: do your kids like every time that you stop for a break, do they like immediately to the ground, like sit down?
Like lay down.
Like
yes, yes. That is Turtle. If Turtle is like just remotely tired from an activity, he will just straight lay down, not just sit down.
Just lay down.
Lay down.
Yeah, straight to the ground. I'm like, we're gonna literally be stopping for 30 seconds, just enough for us to catch our breath to like keep going.
Yeah,
and
he
he's
just goes
straight
down.
to the ground, laying down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the fetal position, laying on the ground. And I was like, every time you lay down, you have to get back up. I'm like,
Takes so much more energy.
so much more effort. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe if I was closer to the ground and I was young and spry, it would be less of an effort to get myself back up. But yeah, but he's immediately straight to the ground, which I thought was super funny. Yeah, we ended up hiking. We finally got up all the way. I kept having to tell him like, hey, let's, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. We got to make it there before light.
You keep giving him like, we're almost there.
There's
like
for
one more
sure.
little ridge.
Even when you were less than halfway, you were giving him.
I was going to ask you what do you do in that situation? So your kid asks you how much further, because they're constantly asking how much further do we have to go. Do you give them like the honest estimate?
Never.
Do you underestimate it? Overestimate it? What's your go-to?
I mean, every kid's different. With my kid, it's always we're almost, just a little bit longer. We're almost there. Like you'll be there before you know it. You'll have tons of time. Like always, stuff like that.
I debated that, but he asked me the one time, use your tool, measure the distance. I want to know how far we are from the glassing point. So I was like, okay. So I measure it, and I was like, we're 0.68 miles. And he was like, okay. And that was like a underestimation. It was closer to a mile or whatever. I made it up. And then we got to the next point, and he was like, how far? And I was like, oh, we're this far. And he's like, you said that last time.
Gotcha.
So then and then I was just thinking, I'm just going to start telling him. I'll just shoot him straight and say we're a mile or whatever it is, which is kind of funny.
He is older. Maybe when Turtle's older, I'll start doing that. But right now, man, because he just won't shut up unless he like gets his mind off it. You know?
I don't even do that to adults. I still
underestimate
everything for him. Yeah, like, oh yeah, half mile will be there, and it's like a mile and a half out.
I don't know. I think the psychology of that's interesting. I was thinking about that as I was hiking with him. I think going forward, I'm just going to shoot him straight and be like, we're 3 miles. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. That way I don't have to remember.
And what you said previously.
And estimate it as they go. Anyway, we got up there. We got to our glassing point. We got there maybe just barely after light. I pushed him pretty good to get up there. I was a sweaty mess, and I look back at him, and he's not like hardly sweating at all. And I was like, damn it.
Stuff.
Yeah, little kid stuff. Anyway, we got set up. I got the tripod out, and I went to glassing. And I think probably within the first 15 minutes, I pick up like a pretty nice 4-point down the canyon across from us. And I'm sitting there watching him, and he's immediately just like, let's go kill him. And I was like, well, it's not that easy. We have to kind of figure out what he's going to do. And I'm trying to teach him like how to make a play on it. And, I'm like, we may have to slow play him. We might have to put him to bed, then make our approach in the afternoon, set up on him in, a range that we can get a shot, and then hopefully kill him in the evening. And about that time, then it just like socked in and just started snowing, and like you couldn't see 200 yards. And I was like, it'll lift, So we sat there for a while, just hanging out. And then I was getting cold because like all my extra gear, all the extra clothes, like I was giving to him,
Of course.
So I'm like sitting there shivering, and I was like, I'm going to build a fire. And he's like, no, you can't build a fire. He's like, we'll burn the forest down. And I was like, I think we'll be okay. It's snowing. It's 30 degrees or 25 degrees. I was like, I'm going to build a fire. And so it was fun. Got a fire built for him. Let him, help me build a fire. And then
Kids love fires.
You don't know how much kids love fire.
I know how much.
You probably do. This will tell you how much a kid loves a fire. So I built a fire, and I was like, all right, we're going to ride this out, and hopefully it lifts. I checked the weather before I left, and it looked to me like by like noon or 2 o'clock, it was supposed to lift. And I thought, man, when this lifts, it's going to be good. We just got to ride it out. So I told him, I'm like, your job is to tend the fire. Dude, it didn't lift till like 5 o'clock. And he tended that fire all day.
And probably had a blast.
Never said loved it. I mean, loved it. I absolutely loved it. He built a fire ring with rocks. He got a poker. He's going around, burned hole in my down gloves. He's got down going everywhere. Ate every candy bar that I brought.
Of course.
But yeah, if you want to occupy your kids in the woods, just build a fire and tell them that their job for the day is to tend the fire. But that was pretty hilarious.
Do you guys know I had an arson on my record?
Oh no!
Yeah, I lit my backyard on fire. I used to play with fire all the time. I'm not talking about when I say I know how much kids love fire. I'm not talking about from Turtle.
Talking about yourself.
He's too young for me to let him mess with fire. I was 11 years old, and I lit my entire backyard on fire.
Nice.
Police came, fire department came.
I didn't know this about him.
Yeah.
How old were you?
11.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
11, 12 years old. Yeah, I was in middle school.
Yeah, that matches.
And I was playing with fireworks and gasoline. And next thing you know, too much of the gasoline caught on fire. And then I kicked the gas can over and the whole backyard went up in flames. The whole deal.
Just more and more.
Yikes.
So I.
Yeah, kids love fire then.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then, so I did that. I was literally obsessed with fire. Like I would light shit on fire all the time.
Yeah.
And then I was hunting in Idaho one time on a family friend's place up there. And they were doing a controlled burn. And me and Heath Jr. were like, dude, let's go. Like everyone was laying back at the cabin. We were hunting those mountain whitetails up there. And the ranch manager, they were going out to do a controlled fire. So Heath Jr. and I were like, absolutely. I don't want to sleep. I want to go do that. We took it a little too far. And there was a little more than what they wanted to burn was on fire. And it was just me and Heath Jr. running around.
Yeah, it can get tricky.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, he loved it. And that was fun. It was fun. We hung out by the fire the whole day and he took a nap and it was a fun day just to spend. And then it finally did. It was a little bit later than what it was supposed to be, but finally about 5 o'clock it lifted and it was just crystal clear and cold. And I glassed all the way up into the top into the drainage. I can never find that other buck. He never popped out again. But way up in the top into the drainage, I ended up glassing up 2 bucks just before dark. And I was explaining to him, we're not going to be able to get to it today, but tomorrow, now we know kind of where they're at, the general area. Yeah. We'll hike out of here. So we hiked out before it was like pitch dark and, we talked the whole time, just chit chatted and hiked back to the truck. And, we pitched the teepee. So we had a seek outside teepee. I pitched it at the Red Cliff and I threw out the sleeping bags, got everything laid out. And, he's like, what's for dinner? He was starving. So we made a couple of mountain houses and I gave him his choice. I had 2. I had the pad thai and he's like, oh, pad thai sounds kind of nice. I read the description for him and he's like, oh, I like that. I do like that. And I was like, and the other one's chicken and rice. And he's like, oh, that one sounds really good too. And I was like, well, we'll do both. And, you can do a taste test and whichever one you like. So I gave
Did he like them?
So I gave him the pad thai and he's like, ooh, that one's pretty spicy. He's like, I don't think I like that. And then I gave him the chicken and rice and he ate a couple bites. He's like, yeah, it's pretty good. I could eat that one. So I was like, all right, you eat the chicken and rice. And it was kind of funny. So he'd eaten 3 or 4 bites. I ate my whole bag, just that quick because I was hungry. And it was really funny because I look over and he's like just kind of piecemealing it, like a little bite here and there. I was like, oh, you don't really like that? And he's like, not really. He's like, I don't really like it. And I was like, you're going to be hungry tomorrow. I'm like, this is dinner. And I was like, here, just take like 4 or 5, big bites. Let's get some big bites and get some food in your stomach. And so he took a couple bites, and the third bite, he took it, and he's just like, I could see that. And it reminded me, and you tell me if you remember this, but do you remember being like a little kid and like texture in your mouth?
Absolutely.
So I can see him. I'm like, oh, this is coming up. I can see. And it wasn't, I don't think it was necessarily the taste. I think it was like this texture. Yeah. And I can see him, and he's like sitting there, and he's starting to dry heap. And I was like, get out of the truck. Because we were eating in the truck. I was like, get out of the truck. And he's like, why? And I was like, because you're going to throw up.
Yeah.
So he gets out of the truck and pukes. And I was like,
really?
Yeah, pukes. And I was like, oh man, you're 11.
Yeah, you're 11 eating a freeze dried.
Freeze dried meal or dehydrated, I guess.
Dehydrated, even worse.
Anyway, so that was pretty funny. I was like, I don't really have much else for you. I have peanut butter sandwich.
You didn't bring white bread and peanut butter and jelly?
I had a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, so you ate some of that. And we went to bed. Climbed in. I put him in a 0 degree Stone Glacier chill coop, and he was, snuggled in and on his sleeping pad. And I have a lantern that pops up, and we talked for a while, and I popped that thing down, and I got kind of quiet for a minute, and he just sat there and he goes, Dad. And I said, yeah, you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, this is so fun. He's like, I am having so much fun. He's like, this is just fun. It's different. He's like, I'm really glad that I came. And it was like, you don't get those moments often, So it was really cool. I'm
over here just daydreaming about my kid being that old. I can't wait.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then set the alarm for the next morning. I think we got up at 5. I got up and got everything prepped, and he was a lot less excited about getting out of bed because it frosted hard and it was really cold. I did finally get him up, and I had everything prepped and ready to go, and we took off.
Do you have the truck running with the heater on to pop him in there to warm him up?
No, we raw dogged it. I just said, get out of bed, get dressed, let's go.
Yes. Love it. That's the way to do it.
But that night I showed him, I pulled out my phone, I showed him maps, and I was like, this is where those deer were. This is where we were in proximity to them. This is a trail that goes further up the drainage, and I kind of planned it all out for him, and I showed him, this is how we're going to get on this buck, tomorrow. So we took off. The second day, he was fighting it pretty bad. Like it was a lot more climbing, and it was pretty steep. He was fighting it pretty bad, but I kept pushing him. Finally, at one point, I just had to be like, hey, you got to get up. We got to go. And pushed him all the way to the top. We got clear to the top, popped around the top of this knoll, waited for it to get light, and it was cold. I mean, cold. Again, gave him all my clothes, and I look over there, and within 10 minutes, like, he's asleep again. So I was just like, man, this hunting when you're 11 is awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this is amazing. But he's fast asleep, and I just started picking across the landscape and ended up seeing that buck, and he was with another buck. There's 2 bucks. Real nice buck, tall 4-point. So I watched them for a minute, trying to get an idea on what they were going to do. And he woke up and he's like, hey, do you see anything? I says, yeah, I see those 2 bucks. And I got the spotting scope out so he could look at them. And he looked at the one, and he's like, we got to go shoot that one. And he's like, that one, we got to shoot it. And I was like, okay, well, what do you think we ought to do? And he kind of tells me what he thinks we ought to do. And I said, well, I think we ought to go off the backside of the ridge. We ought to work the backside of that ridge, go up the canyon, and, hopefully we can cut the distance in time to get a shot. But he was all go at that point. So we threw everything in the pack, took off, went up the backside of the ridge, ended up coming the whole way up the backside of the ridge, which was nice. And then we popped up and over. And I could see the 2 bucks, and I ranged the one. It was like 500 yards or 490, something like that. I'm not a big rifle hunter. So I was like, I think I need to get closer,
Yeah.
And ended up working back up the ridge and across the face. We were just kind of sneaking across the face, and I ranged him. I think he was like 410, I want to say. And at that point, they picked us off. Like, I could definitely see that demeanor change in the buck. He turned, and he was like just staring at that hillside. And I told Owen, I said, hey, let's get down. I think this is a shot I can make. And got down, got the pack out. I got prone like Brady teaches me to do, and I got a solid rest. And I even used the little dial on top. And
no way, Trail. Look at you.
You dialed.
I dialed.
Look at you.
Before you left, you told me you were just going to do the old school holdover.
I was going to do the old school holdover. And then I got up there and I got into the moment, and I was like, I did the work. Like, I sighted it in. I did...
He built himself his own dope chart.
I built a dope chart.
I was looking at it earlier. I was very proud of him.
I built a dope chart. And
Look at you.
And I proofed it. And I was like, I've got this SIG cross sawtooth.
Yeah.
I've done all the work, went to the range, took him and shot it. And I'm going to trust the dial. So I'm generally like kind of untrusting of these things.
You trust your dial in your bow sight?
Yeah, I do. But I work with it all the time. So, but anyway, dialed it, and the 2 bucks kind of turned. They went up the hillside, maybe 5-10 feet is all. And then I was waiting for him to turn broadside, and he turned broadside, and I turned back to Owen and I said, hey, plug your ears, keep an eye on that buck. And
Is he watching through a spotter or binos?
I didn't have time to get I wanted to. Yeah. I wanted to get everything set up so that he could watch the whole thing, but the situation just developed so quick. I was like, hey, he could see him with a naked eye. And I just said, keep your eye on that buck, plug your ears. And got in the gun and prone, and crosshairs were there, and gun went off, and just that loud thwop, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched him. He split from the other buck, turned, ran downhill, kind of on a beeline. And I leaned back to Owen and I said, hey, did you see that? And he said, yeah, you got him. And I said, yeah, did you see it hit? And he's like, yeah, but he's like, I think he's still going uphill. And I was like, really? So I throw up the binos and I look, and I can see the other buck, kind of moving up the hill. And he's like, yeah, do you see him? He's like, you're going to need to shoot him again, And I was like, that's the other buck. I said, the one I shot went downhill. And he's like, I was looking at the wrong buck. So he was kind of looking at the wrong deer the whole time. But it was funny. He said to me at that point, I said, yeah, I'm like 99% sure that like he's hit hard and hit well and everything went the way that it should. And I was kind of teaching him the next steps that we're going to do. And he was funny. He said, aren't you supposed to be excited? He's like, I thought you'd be like yelling and stuff. He's like, you're supposed to yell and be like, yell out. And I was like, no. He's like, I watch hunting videos. And he's like, they always yell and get excited. And I was like,
not everyone.
Yeah, not Trail.
not me. And I'm like, we haven't found the buck yet, so let's kind of maintain a little low profile until we get over there. But we, got our stuff together and made our way over there. It was funny. It was like, I went to the spot that I shot, and he came in underneath me. Owen did, to where the buck had ran. And I'm like up there kind of combing around looking for blood and tracks and stuff. And he yells up at me. He's like, hey, Dad. And I said, yeah. And he's like, man, I got a lot of blood down here. And I was like, oh, really? So I walked down, and sure enough, man, great blood.
Awesome.
Really good blood. And so put him out ahead of me. Let him
go.
Let him blood trail.
That's cool. Let him blood trail it.
Yeah, we blood trailed it out. And he went about 60, 80 yards and was piled up just at the edge of these aspens. So it was really cool. Let him walk up to it. And
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm daydreaming so hard about that setup with my kid.
It was really fun. We took some photos.
The photos of you two together, pretty good.
Yeah.
We got to get your kid with you more, because it's the only usable photos you've given us. You actually took it serious enough with your kid.
Some. Yeah. We took some on a timer on the backpack to get. He was really excited to take some field photos. He wanted to show his friends and stuff.
I'm sure.
Cool buck.
It's an awesome buck.
Nice buck. Dude, it was really interesting. So that buck on the hoof, big bodied buck, like old face, I didn't know how old, or he's not like a score. He's probably like a 160, but he's a nice buck. But when I caped him out, I didn't cape him out. We're just going to Euro him and hang him in Owen's room. But when I got the hide off, that was an old buck. Like, I was looking today, going back through just kind of a teeth analysis and wear, and looking at some examples. Like, I think that buck was probably 6.5 or 7.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So old general season Utah buck.
Mm-hmm. He's seen a lot of shit general season.
Yeah,
there's still a few of them out there.
Still a few. Yep. So it was super cool. Packed him out, half that buck that day. I wanted to, one moment. So we're sitting there. I'm working on the buck. He's skinning. I'm just letting him cut hunks of fat off or whatever, And we're just like chit chatting, talking about how you process an animal and pull them apart. And he sat there for a second and he says, you know what I really liked about the last 2 days? And I said, what? And he goes, man, I haven't looked at a phone. He's like, I haven't looked at a screen. I haven't watched YouTube. He's like, it's been really nice.
Same, Owen. Exact same for me.
I need more people like him.
Yeah.
Same, Owen.
And I didn't push that. I didn't say it to him throughout the whole thing. I didn't say anything about it. It was just like his observation as an 11-year-old. He was like, it's been really cool to just be outdoors.
Yeah. I get to a point that that's the part I enjoy so much about it. I get to a point where I don't even want to look at maps, or I don't want to digiscope. Like, I don't even want to pull my phone out of my pocket and turn it on. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that doesn't exist back there.
It's my favorite part.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best part about it, and it was cool to see him just kind of make the realization that it was an opportunity for him to just disconnect.
Yeah.
And you think of an 11-year-old, you're like, man, is an 11-year-old that inundated? But they are.
more so than we are.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
His ability to like self-reflect that's awesome.
It was really cool.
And I probably craves that more.
Yeah.
I really wants that disconnection.
Yeah, he's got the bug bad.
He's 12 next year.
Yeah, he'll be 12 in January.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, we're going hunting next year. Something.
He's killing.
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, I mean whether it's cow elk or a spike elk, just on an over-the-counter tag, or I don't know if he'll draw a deer tag. That's the hard part in Utah.
Yeah.
It's a lesson in resource and scarcity and how the systems work, and I'll be applying him everywhere and trying to get him an opportunity to get out and go hunting, because he does have the bug bad.
That's awesome.
He really likes it. He wanted to eat some of it as soon as we got home. I was showing him the inner tenderloins, and I was like, this is the best meat on the whole animal, and he's like, I want to eat those as soon as I get home, and heavy pack out.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Especially you carrying all the extra gear, the clothing,
all the gear, and half a deer.
Yeah. I don't have as much to talk about as you, because, like I said, Turtle's only 5. But the part that makes me like very proud with him is every time he's been on an animal kill with me, he wants to eat it. I'm like, yes, dude. Yes, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Like knowing the full circle.
Yeah, and we had steaks last night.
That's awesome.
And we're gonna get the skull cleaned up for him, and he wants to put it in his room. So we'll get that up there as a memory. And the entire thing for me was a real shot in the arm as far as perspective goes.
Yeah.
Like that was a core memory. Like that's a core memory that he'll remember forever.
For sure.
Forever. My dad is really struggling right now. He's in a care facility. He's had back surgery and he's not doing good. And he's looking at potentially some more surgeries here the first part of November. I talked to my mom last night about him, and I spent a lot of my night last night just like thinking about memories and with my dad. Most of my core memories with my dad are hunting.
I've said it before on the podcast and multiple other times. My dad and I's only, like, our relationship only exists because of hunting. Like that's what our relationship is built around.
Yeah, my dad and I too. That's what we talk about is hunting. We talk about the outdoors and kind of our love of it and experiences. And I don't talk to. It's interesting. Like I haven't talked to my dad nearly as much as I should. Elk hunt in Colorado, I was really struggling and had some really hard moments. And I was laying there in bed one night and couldn't sleep, just completely emotionally a wreck.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I was just like, the only person I want to talk to is my dad.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
So, and I had a little bit of service. So I called my dad, and my dad was in the hospital at the time, and he answered the phone and gave me awesome advice, and it was great. It was like exactly what I needed at that moment. But it was really fun to take my kid and just create, like I said, like a core lifetime memory. Like I was telling him as we were hiking out, I'm like, you'll never forget this. Like I know true. That. I know that because I have those with my dad. You guys have them with yours. So.
100% have it with my dad. I was in 17 in Nevada. It's the first hunt he ever took me on. We jumped to 4 Point and he went 2 ridges over and he shot. I mean, there's a lot more to the hunt that we, too long of a story to get into, but I remember everything about it. Watching him, the first deer hunt I was on with him to watch him shoot a deer, I remember everything about it.
And that's why this stuff is important to me.
Yeah, creating core memories with your family, with your kids.
I think about this, and you think about hunting. I think a lot of people look at it and they're like, "Oh, you're just, you're out killing an animal, and whether you're killing it for, quote unquote trophy, or you're killing it for meat, like you're just out killing an animal." But to me, it's like so much bigger than that.
Yeah,
it's everything that I love.
The hard part, though, and the frustrating part is no one will ever know that unless they go on a hunt. And there are some soft ass people that wouldn't be able to do what your 11-year-old did to ever even be able to experience that. You know what I mean?
There's so many moments, like so many little life lessons, when it was really hard for him. And I kept telling him, the best things that I remember in my life when I look back on it were things that were the hardest.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to you right now because it sucks. But I promise you, looking back on it, the things that are the hardest that you went through, that you worked really hard for, are the things that are going to mean the most to us. They're going to be the most impactful to you.
Yeah.
And it was was great to just be able to like, here's a real world example of how this works. You do the work, you get the reward.
It's like the guy that was on Rogan, I can't remember his name, but is famous for saying there's 2 types of fun, type 1 and type 2. Yeah. Type 1's the roller coaster where you're like, oh, this is great, this is fun, and you never think about it or talk about it again.
Yep.
And then there's the type 2 fun where you're like, holy shit, this is hard, this fucking sucks, I don't want to do this. But then as soon as that's over, for the rest of your life, you're thinking about, man, how fun was that, you know?
Yeah, you remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the things that are the hardest that you work the hardest for are always
those are the fun things.
Those are the fun ones.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was
cool
good.
experience.
It was great.
That was his first one. First
time he'd ever been on an animal. Yeah. Yeah, and it was
Got
great.
the full experience.
Got
Cold, snow, sitting overnight.
Got all of it. Got to build
deal.
a fire, tend a fire. I got to be there on a buck, and it worked out perfectly.
Eating some backpacking food.
Yeah, got to eat some deer that we'd killed. So it was. Yeah, I'm kind of sitting on cloud 9.
You know what I've realized?
What
is how similar Owen and I are. No screens and can't stand the freeze dried meals. Me and him, same.
You guys get along great.
Love fire. We got a lot of stuff in common.
You guys would hunt well together.
We got a lot of stuff in common.
Yeah, you do.
Right on. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap up? Brady killed a ewe this weekend, and we maybe get into it on another.
Just give us a cliff notes. First guy to ever kill a ewe with open sight muzzleloader.
Potentially, yeah. I've been trying to figure that out for a little while, and I've just never seen anyone hunt a ewe with an open sight muzzleloader. So
yeah, I don't know why they would.
I know. It's an illegal weapon hunt, so you can technically use anything. I do have a friend who's killed one with a bow, so that's on par, just as cool, probably cooler because you have to get a lot closer. But I just wanted to add a little challenge when I drew this tag, and I was always the type of person before that had reservations about why should we be hunting ewes, because I don't feel, in most sense, that you should be hunting, like doe mule deer. I do not believe in hunting doe mule deer at all. But I built points forever because I'm like, well, I'll just cough it up as my donation to the state. And like buying a point for it, whatever. So I was actually a max point holder. But after talking to a biologist last year about it, I finally put in last year and I put in this year, and this year I drew it. But I had reservations about it. But they do need to hunt these sheep species because there is so many of them.
Why are they hunting ewes?
Why?
Yeah.
Basically trying to maintain a sustainable sheep population, reduce the risk of disease. Sheep can get pneumonia. You have to keep the herd size basically in the carrying capacity of the water and forage out there. So that's the big thing. We've had a lot of drought, recently. And you keep compounding that and you have sheep numbers eventually. Well, what's going to happen if they don't have any feed, don't have any water? It's going to have massive die-offs. Sheep could get diseases. Sheep could start moving to areas to try to find water, maybe somehow get pneumonia from another herd or whatever like that, and then that goes through the whole entire herd and kills everything.
So wait, isn't pneumonia a better way of dying than a hunter?
That's what the anti-guys would tell you.
It's natural.
Drowning from the inside out to then get torn down by a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, throw that in there, yeah. So, So, I always thought, and I know a lot of people do, you can just move sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just transplant them somewhere else? Well, there's other things you got to consider about that. They can't just transplant them. Animals don't always, survive through a transplant too. It's also kind of risky for those animals to be transplanted. So there's a risk there. And so there's just a ton of sheep in this unit.
Also the risk of transmitting disease.
Exactly, yeah. And the cost of doing all that, it's not just cheap, it's not free. And, so the state does have it to manage sheep populations. And they've had this for quite a while now. I had 7 points. It's been going on at least that long.
Yeah.
And max point holder. So drew the tag, got still lucky drawing it, and
took the old muzzy out.
Yeah. And obviously, I shoot my muzzleloader all the time. Love an open sight setup. And I was like, I don't know if anyone's done it. And I'm sure there probably has been. And one guy said, oh, there's probably some way back in the day using a, round ball and something. Flintlock. I'm like, yeah, probably. Way back in the day. But I was like, I want to do something different. Everyone takes a rifle out and hunts sheep. And
yeah.
And if
I talked to you, tell me, give me some of the highlights, because there was a couple of cool things that really happened. I talked to you yesterday about it.
Yeah.
And you were telling me you had a ram walk by you.
I had 2 rams. That's the coolest thing. So I wanted to obviously scout a spot where I could get away from people. So obviously I've been on a lot of guzzler projects. I know guzzlers are very important to sheep. So obviously it's going to attract hunters as well, because what do sheep need? Sheep need water. So there's a lot of guzzlers in this unit, so people can hunt around those, because obviously they attract wildlife. It's everything in hunting. So I figured rifle hunters are going to be more congregated around those areas, easy to access spots. So I'm like, I'm going to do the way I like to hunt, just a suck fest.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a very uncomfortable situation for myself by just hiking really far into the desert and wanted to get away because I figure if I'm hunting with a muzzleloader, I don't want to have a rifle hunter potentially impact my stock because they could just be at 400 yards and I'd be at 200 and stalking. They might not see me because I'm behind a rock and they shoot at you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I ended up dropping off my girlfriend on Saturday to go to the airport. She went to go see Taylor Swift, and then I went out scouting the rest of the day. And the funny thing is about that though, I got back to my house. I'll try to make this really quick. Got back to my house really early in the morning. It was like 5:30 or something like that, so it's still dark out. You know those little holes on your bed of your truck?
Yeah.
There's 4 holes all on the bed.
So oh, you mean like the
that you can like put straps to, tie downs and whatever. Well, on a Chevy Silverado, turns out they go all the way down the frame, all the way down. There's like a little thing at the top that you can like potentially set something on inside that hole, but there's gaps on each side. So I set my keys up on my bed rail.
Oh no!
I accidentally bumped my key. My keys flew all the way down the side of my bed, all the way down underneath the frame, and it's like locked in a frame rail. Gonzo. So I can't even get into my.
Bye, Felicia.
I can't even get into my house at this point. So luckily my truck's right there, and my truck's unlocked, so I can unlock my truck. But my truck's unlocked, so I can get to my garage door opener, open my garage door. But it's dark out. And I'm like, why don't I have a freaking flashlight anywhere in my garage? All my headlamps are in my house.
Yeah.
Like I have a million headlamps. So it's dark out. So I finally found one flashlight. I could hold up my mouth, and I'm underneath the truck looking. I can like see a tiny hole, maybe like a ½ inch, and my keys are right there. I'm like, there's no way I'm getting that through. So I found a clothes hanger in my garage, made a little hook on it, shoved it all the way down the truck frame rail. And I was Googling it too, like on my phone. And it was like, oh yeah, it's so easy to get your keys out when that happens. You just pull your bed off. It's like 4 bolts. And I'm like, okay, am I just going to pull the bed off my truck by myself in the dark?
Brady, just pull the bed off.
Dude, how wild is the internet that you can Google?
Yeah.
Keys
how to get your keys.
And it's happened a lot.
And it immediately pops up with like how many how-to videos on YouTube.
Yeah. So I actually got a little hook, put it all the way down there, grabbed the keys, pulled it all the way up, but then I put the clothes hanger on the wrong side, I guess, because one side was wider than the other, the gap. So like the other side I probably would have been able to pull the keys up. But since I have like, the fob to get in the go hunt office, my little other junk on there, like a janitor, tons of keys, got stuck and would not pull up through there. And then I like lost it for a second, but then I rehooked it, and I accidentally rehooked on part of a key ring that's not as strong, and boom, it just stripped right out because I was yanking on it, trying to like force it through. And so now the little clicker thing to the truck is separated from the main keys. The ignition part of my truck is separated. So now I have like 3 different sets of keys stuck down there. So I'm like, now I'm really effed.
Is there a set of keys still in the bed of your truck right now?
So here's the thing then.
Of some sort?
I'm like, okay, now I have to drill into that bed frame rail area. So I went and got a drill, got my Dremel, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to Dremel, and there's a gas tank right next to there. Just putting sparks over. So I held my hand right next to it, took my Dremel, and just Dremeled out like an inch long section on the frame rail. On that little, not like the full frame rail that stabilized the truck, but the bed area to make it so I can get the keys out. And then I finally got them.
On the inside?
On the outside of the truck. Wow. So I had to Dremel a little bit. I have a photo of it too. It's actually pretty funny.
So now what's the plan? You get a little epoxy and fix that up?
Well, luckily it's not like a structural thing. It's just like on the bed.
Yeah.
But it's just like that tube runs all the way down. It's like, that's the dumbest design ever. Those should all be capped at the top with little tiny holes to allow water to drop down. Mm-hmm. So that was the start of my hunt.
I never had that happen in my 4Runner.
No, never.
So that was a start, and then I was exhausted. Now I had a pack, and I'm like pissed because that took like an hour and a half to do. And I'm like laying underneath my truck, like on my rifle shooting mat, like in the dark, holding a flashlight in my mouth, dremeling, trying not to blow up with sparks.
This is a great start to the day.
That is a great start.
Got out scouting. And that's where the cool thing is. I hiked really far away from anything, found sheep that were even further away. So I'm like, okay, great. They're further away.
Did you walk by sheep? You're like, I'm going to go.
On your way there?
No, I actually didn't walk by sheep. It was kind of hot out. But got set up and glassing, found a bunch of ewes, found a bunch of rams. Cool getting to watch rams. That's why I like the ewe hunt. And then marked them. I was like, dude, these sheep are all on this saddle over here. Rangefinder tool, marked them exactly where it is, did my rangefinder. I was like, all right, I need to be over there in the morning. And it's great because it's further away from a guzzler. Like I was already pretty far away, but now it's even further. And then I get up to move around. I look behind me. I'm like, dude, there's a ram like 100 yards behind me. And like he sees me. Like I was standing up, like walking around, like gathering my stuff. He sees me. I don't know if you've ever heard of ram grunt.
Is that Brady Miller?
Yeah, is that? Should I go ask him for his autograph?
I don't know if you ever heard of ram grunt, but they grunt.
Yeah.
So like he started grunting and making all these weird little noises and starts walking to me. I'm like, that's weird. I'm going to just keep packing up my stuff. It's getting not really dark. I look over him. He's closer. He's coming up closer and closer. And all of a sudden that ram got to 10 yards.
That's crazy.
And that's a different one than the one I posted yesterday on Instagram. So I had that ram experience, came to 10 yards, walked to me. And then that ram caught my wind or saw me and then ran away.
Good ram?
That one's not as good, but yeah, that's a ram. It's a ram.
That's cool.
And then the next morning, I was like, all right, I got to wake up super early to get to my spot. Like, I don't know where other hunters are, but I know I got these sheep picked out. So I think I left at like 4:45 in the morning. My truck, I had my Stone Glacier tent next to my truck. Hiked all the way in, a new area, but I had the waypoint marked. Crawled up on this area. I'm like, all right, I got to get to the saddle. But I wanted to make sure it was dark enough to get there because I'm like, there could be sheep anywhere because what I've seen before, sheep don't move that much at night. So I'm like, they're going to be right there. Crept up in the saddle as quiet as I could. I had like maybe 35 minutes of complete darkness just sitting there watching the sunrise. Also, I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an awesome morning. Turn on my right. There's a ram bedded at 150 yards away from me, just bedded, just chilling. I'm like, I'm in the right spot. This is the exact saddle they were. There was a rams here. There's ewes over here. Rams chasing ewes. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, that ram gets out of bed. I'm like, oh, and I started looking at him for a little bit. Then I wanted to glass around, found some ewes at 600 yards. I'm like, all right, got ewes. It's right below a cliff. I can stalk above with the muzzleloader and get a shot. And I look back at that ram, like, that ram's coming right to me.
Same ram.
No, it was a totally different ram. It was like 3 miles away from the other one, but in totally different shape. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it keeps coming closer. So I'm like, I'm going to video it with my iPhone. I got the other ram on video the day before. Yeah. And this ram comes all the way to 7 yards. Just awesome. Walking right by me. Like, so cool, like, to put yourself in an amazing place while hunting cool. and have those type of, like, memories that you'll, again, like you said, your son, you'll never forget that. I'll never forget when I had 2 rams come to less than 10 yards.
Did you say you had rams banging heads?
Yeah. So then
have you ever seen that?
I've seen it, yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's really cool.
So then I like...
Sounds like a gunshot.
It's like on a bucket list for me. I want to see a couple rams.
It's so cool.
So loud.
Yeah, that sounds so awesome.
So then when I was messing with that ram, trying to film him, and he like walked right by my muzzleloader. You see in the video, my muzzleloader's right in front of me. I'm zooming out, zooming in, just want to get the muzzleloader in there, and then I got my leg in there too. Like, he was so close to me. And then I lost sight of those ewes because I was just dicking with that ram for a little bit. And I'm like, shit.
Classic.
Now I don't know where those ewes are. And all of a sudden I'm like, I should just look over to my left a little bit because it's kind of a little knoll where I'm at. I'm in this little rock pile, but the whole saddle's in front of me where all the sheep were the day before. Like, there was 20, 30 sheep there yesterday. And then I creep over. I'm like, shit, there's a bunch of ewes and a ram 200 yards away from me, right down below me. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to grab my muzzleloader. I'm going to belly crawl on this little rock, move over in position. I get in position, laying down on the rock, got my binos there, got all my little gear like I always do, set it all out, set my rangefinder binos, some muzzleloader charges if I need to. Muzzleloader's already loaded. Took the tape off my muzzle brake, took the tape off my open peep sight, getting set up, and all of a sudden this freaking ram starts running these ewes all over in a circle and pushes them over a little knoll. I'm like set up on there, 100, like you got to like 180 yards. I'm like kept pulling my binos up. All right, I got to make sure I can find make sure it's a ewe, you know, look at the little penis sheath area, look at the balls, look at that front thing. Like, that's what's cool about drawing a tag though. Like, like they literally walk you through a whole entire course. Right. Like it was an hour-long course of how to make sure you identify young rams, older rams, ewes, and it's just trying to reinforce that. Like, I have to make sure it's not a young ram, and a ewe has to be over 5 inches on horn length to be legal. And so I'm just making sure this is the biggest one and I can see it, but they keep moving in front of me. I'm like 180 yards with an open sight muzzleloader on a sheep.
No joke.
Is no joke. Even my little tiny crosshair, I have a little circle in the crosshair. That thing was just like, it was a whole sheep. I'm like 180 yards is probably almost too far for an open sight muzzleloader, even though the muzzleloader can easily shoot it, but you just can't hold precisely on a sheep. So I'm on there dialed, got my bubble level going, and then that ram pushes all the ewes right over the little ridge. I'm like, shit, there goes my opportunity, but they're over the ridge. So maybe I'll just like grab my shit, stalk down a little bit, try to get a shot. I look off in the distance, and as I was going on down in the canyon, there was more rams moving around, but I didn't see any ewes. And all of a sudden, a different ram pulled some different ewes up on the saddle.
It's Ramtown.
Ramtown, USA.
And there was 3 rams and 2 ewes and like a immature lamb. And they were like a mile out. I'm like, oh, this is like, maybe I'll get a stock on those ones. Those rams took those ewes, pushed them right to me. Like, when I'm saying exactly, I was still sitting in that same spot. And again, my backpack's like 7 yards away from me, 10 yards away from me. So this is the only stalk I made is that distance. Ram was used all the way to me to 100 yards. And then the lead ewe was the one I wanted to shoot because she was the biggest. These two rams got pissed at each other because they kept going after this ewe, and then they turned and smashed heads at literally 100 yards away.
Yeah,
the loudest sound I've ever heard.
That's so cool.
It was so
loud.
amazing to see that like that close, 100 yards. You standing there. I'm like, I'm already dialed for this range. It was 95 yards, and didn't have to do anything in the muzzleloader. She finally turned broadside. All their sheep were away. Pushed off my shot. She ran like 40 yards. Tipped over, and then those rams were still like standing there like, what's going on? Like while she was like walking over a little bit, the rams were like on either side of her, like trying to like force her in a different direction, but obviously she's hit.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's going on, so they're trying to corral her and force her in a different way. And then she does her thing, and the rams are still standing there for a little bit, the other ewes, and finally they kind of like just slowly walk off like nothing happened because these rams are just wanted to chase the ewes again.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I have my open sight muzzleloader ewe.
What a
super cool. Like,
what a cool animal.
and what's crazy is like the season's very long for you.
Yeah.
And like I really wanted to take my girlfriend out because she's never actually been on a hunt before, but she was obviously gone on the concert. And so tagged out
Priorities, man.
Opening day by eight o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I'd punched my U tag with an open sight muzzleloader based on all that like previous scouting and figuring out the exact spot. Yeah, I didn't have to go into scouts because you just showed up and shot it.
Yeah.
But like I did the scouting the day before, found the exact spot I needed to be, put myself in there early in the morning in the dark, hiking up all those rocks. Like those mountains are steep and nasty. Yeah. It's not just easy walking. And then set up, and I was in, the absolute perfect area where Ram Town, Sheep Town, sheep all over me.
Maybe you draw a ram tag next year.
That'd be awesome. I got a lot of points for rams, but
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Just sheep are so amazing though. Just being able to watch them, take one with the muzzleloader. I got it all cut up last night finally, and I got some steaks pulled out that I'm gonna have tonight. And the rest of it, as you all know, I just grounded
you didn't burger the whole thing,
except for the.
You didn't throw that whole ewe in your backpack and just burger it out.
So you're asking me like, oh, how much meat do you get? Like 50, 60 pounds? And I was like laughing, like 50, 60 pounds. Now I fit.
They're so small.
All 4 quarters, bone in, tenderloins, back straps, and the heart. Fit in 2 of the zippered game bags.
They're so small.
And then I weighed it when I got home. With the game bags and everything, this is bones and all that stuff, 29 pounds.
So you think you got 20 pounds of meat?
Probably, something like that, yeah. So I got it all processed last night, finalized. But like the crazy thing was though, as you know, I packed my BTX, my ATX, my 115, and that new Tricer tripod. I can't remember the name of it, the JP, I think it is. With that, it does have the heavy legs in there, but I took the heavy legs out. Never used them on the actual part of the hunt. I used them scouting the day before. So now I have a sheep down. I got my muzzleloader, all these optics, 30 pounds of meat, and it was a brutal hike out. Like, because it finally got hot out and hiking out there, but like didn't use any of my optics besides for my 16 SIG.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about optics. This was a real enlightening moment for me. So I had those SIG Zulu 6s, and I thought, I got my kid with me. I'm going to give him those because they got the image stabilizing, tech. So I put those on him in a chest rig so that he could turn the image on, the stabilization on. And I just took my Leica Noctivids, which are a 10x42 regular.
Big difference.
Yeah, so you can't go back.
Dude,
big difference.
So I had SLC 15s on a tripod, and that's great. But as soon as you go to offhand glassing, like when we popped up over the ridge, and I just needed to pull up my binos and look at those bucks,
it's terrible.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Those SIGs are it.
It's the bee's knees, man.
I wanted to be like,
go.
Owen, give me your binoculars.
Yeah. Let's switch.
Like no doubt. Like it was a real moment for me. I was like, yep, this is a legit. Advantage. Like these are great.
Yes. And that's why I loved having them as well on my hunt, because I had the 16 power Zulu 6s. So like even at that 200 yard range, when I was trying to look at those sheep the first time, I was able to see all the details. I could say I'm stabilized, so I can tell what's a ram, what's a ewe, what's an immature ram.
All the plums.
Everything. All the plums. I can see everything.
They're the greatest thing ever. The size of a basketball, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's right. If you kill a ram, you don't know which one's the trophy. It's those horns or those nuts.
The nuts.
Oh. These nuts.
They're gigantic.
Pretty gigantic.
Yeah,
impressive.
They're just very impressive.
The amazing fun hunt. I've been looking forward to it all year. And like I said, I was on the fence about if we should be hunting ewes or not, but definitely You know, in this area specifically, the sheep are doing really well. So it's a good thing. I did pull up some stats if you want me to read through them quick about like,
real quick.
So like the amount of U tags they give out in this unit, like you think like, oh yeah, they only give out a handful. My dad asked me how many U tags they give out this year. 60 U tags.
Oh wow.
60.
Wow.
So 54 resident, 6 non-resident. You know, 33 ram tags, 5 non-resident, and then 4 management ram tags. Those one horn rams.
Yep.
It's like U population is doing really well. I mean, sheep population in general. Ewes are obviously, there's a lot of them, a lot of rams too. 80% harvest success on like average on the ewe hunt, which so they're taking a lot of ewes. That was 2023's 80, 2022 54%, 63 in 2021. So like you're actually taking a lot of sheep, but that's what they want to happen. And then 2022 they gave out 40 ewe tags as well. 2021 they gave out like 80 something tags. Next year they give out exactly 80 and then 67 ewe tags. So like the last 5 years, 6 years, giving a lot of ewe tags every year, and the harvest success is really high, and they're still maintaining a very high sheep population in Maine, which is pretty cool.
Success story for sheep.
Yeah. I mean, in total population in Nevada too, like that's a giant success story. Like right now, currently as of 2023 numbers, we have over 7,000 desert bighorns.
More than all the other states added up together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
So it's a good conservation success story. And like, it's cool too, because I wasn't on a guzzler project, I don't believe, in this unit, but I've been on 3 or 4 guzzler projects here in Nevada. And it's always cool just to see people go out there, put all the work out there for all these sheep, even though they might never draw a sheep tag, or like me, just, you know, this ewe tag could be the only North American sheep tag I ever actually draw.
I wonder where all the money comes from for guzzlers and
Donated,
yeah.
from hunters.
Imagine that.
Go figure.
Yeah, so cool
That's
experience.
awesome.
Hope everyone gets a chance to, you know, hunt a sheep someday, and this is the way to do it.
That's right. You might not ever get a ram tag,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool. Harvest a sheep.
And I just need you guys to convince me, because Calvin at Trophy Room Taxidermy has always told me what I should do, but you guys know my stance on mounting things.
Oh, you're shoulder mounting.
Shoulder mounting a Euro?
Yeah.
I did pack the cape out.
You're
He's
gonna
shoulder
mount
mount
it? Shoulder mount your ewe?
I think I might mount
That'd
it.
be cool. Do it.
They're
Why
cool.
not?
It's a cool thing. It's a sheep. I want to, like I said, preserve that memory.
Why not?
Obviously, the meat is phenomenal. I had to have the horns or the skull to do the Euro, but I think it'd be cool to do a shoulder mount, and then eventually, if I do draw a ram tag in this state,
You have a pair.
have a pair.
Nice.
Yeah,
Right on.
that was a fun hunt. Try to do it as quick as I can to run through that, but
No, you nailed it, man. That was
the
great.
highlights.
That was good. That was a long one for us today. I felt like I don't know how far
I
we
feel
were,
like
but
you-
it was
I got to
good.
pee so bad.
Probably 2+.
Oh, you do? You got to go.
Oh,
Okay.
so bad.
All right. So with that, we'll. I got one more. Can I say one more thing real quick before we go?
Just hurry.
So
Do it.
next week we're going to do a Halloween episode. So we're asking if you guys have seen
Oh, yeah.
weird random shit in the woods. Send us an email. I want to hear your stories. We're going to read some of them. We're going to recount some of our own. So send us an email at reachus@gohunt.com.
Tell us your spooky stuff.
Spooky stories.
weird Halloween hunting stories.
Love it.
Okay, we're out.